What is up, YouTube? It's your girl Evelyn, and in honor of the upcoming season 3 premiere of Killing Eve, I thought I'd make a video about my favorite killer lesbians in film and television. The psycho lesbian or bisexual killer is a trope that's been around for quite some time now, but love it or hate it, it has given us some of the most perplexing, captivating, and just plain evil characters to ever grace the screen. So without further ado, here are my top 5 killer lesbians, and as always, there will be spoilers, so proceed with caution. Anna Kendrick, Blake Lively, and Blake Lively's Suit Game star in A Simple Favor, a black comedy slash thriller slash romantic comedy. Let's just say there's a lot going on in this film. The basic premise revolves around the borderline obsessive friendship between widow and mommy blogger Stephanie and the gorgeous, easy breezy, and bisexual Emily, who ends up being, a murderer. But not just any murderer, an evil twin murderer. But Emily's murderous ways aren't the result of psychosis or being born evil. She's just greedy and broke. The fact that she essentially kills her own twin sister for insurance money is borderline lame and a bit disappointing as far as motives go. But hey, at least she looks amazing while doing it. Based on a true story, Heavenly Creatures is another tale of obsessive friendship, this time between 13-year-old Juliet and 14-year-old Pauline. The girls become close. Very close. And when they're threatened with separation, they turn to murder. Pauline's mother, Mrs. Parker, is the unfortunate victim, and the girls take turns crushing her skull in with pieces of a brick. It's an incredibly chilling tale, made even more so by the fact it took over 40 blows before Mrs. Parker died, and Pauline recorded it in her diary as the day of the happy event. Pauline and Juliet were obviously in love, and their addiction to one another fueled the brutal murder. They shut out the outside world and lived in a fantasy of their own creation, and when forced to confront reality, they chose bloodshed instead. Basic Instinct is a 90s erotic thriller about the relationship between police detective Nick Curran and the murderous bisexual femme fatale Catherine Trammell, who definitely killed her rock star boyfriend, but not before writing a novel that mirrors the killing because why not? Basic Instinct doesn't sound super gay, and yes, there is a fair amount of heterosexual sex, but Catherine is definitely bisexual and has a girlfriend throughout much of the film. She's also a straight-up serial killer with a very high body count. Her close friends are all killers, it's insinuated that she killed her parents as a child, and she seems to just straight up enjoy murdering folks. She's the true definition of a psychopath, and her ability to get away with murder makes her the most terrifying queer lady on the list. Monster is another based on a true story film that tells the tale of famed serial killer Eileen Wuornos, an ex-prostitute who murdered 7 men in Florida between 1989 and 1990. Eileen is definitely the most tragic killer on the list. Her murdering spree began as self-defense after being brutally raped and beaten by a sadistic client. Then, unable to find legitimate work to support herself and her girlfriend, the timid but demanding Selby, she turns to robbing and murdering her clients, with each kill becoming more vicious than the last. What makes Eileen such a tragic figure, unlike, say, Catherine Trammell, is Eileen wasn't born a psychopath. Sure, she may have had some underlying tendencies, but they probably would have remained dormant if her life circumstances had been different. But as we watch her kill client after client, it becomes harder to root for Eileen, and as her psychopathy becomes more progressive, you can't help but breathe a sigh of relief when she's finally arrested. The cult classic Bound might not be the greatest film ever made, but it holds a special place in my heart as the first lesbian love scene my 14-year-old self ever watched. Violet is in an abusive relationship with mafioso Caesar, and Corky is a lesbian ex-con who just moved in next door. Sparks fly when the women meet, and soon they hatch a plan to steal $2 million from the mob and run off into the sunset together. And they do just that. but not before Violet kills Caesar, and not in self-defense either. Violet is the long-suffering partner of a violent douchebag, and although she doesn't technically have to kill Caesar, I found myself cheering when she finally pulled the trigger. To me, that's what makes Violet the most interesting killer on the list. She's relatable. She's not a psychopath, she hasn't snapped, nor is she acting out of self-preservation. Violet is karma, plain and simple. Caesar is a bad guy who's done very bad things, and he deserves it. The Handmaiden is a South Korean erotic thriller loosely based on the novel Fingersmith by Sarah Waters. There's a ridiculous amount of twist in the film, and it's definitely worth watching to discover how these two femme fatales brilliantly dispatch of the evil men in their lives. To this day, I don't completely understand what Mulholland Drive is supposed to be about, but if there was ever a stereotypical psycho-lesbian, it's one of these two ladies. The most recent retelling of the Lizzie Borden story is, in my opinion, the best one to date. Most of us are already familiar with the true life story of alleged axe murderer Lizzie Borden, but the 2018 film takes a well-acted deep dive into Lizzie's life and motivations. I couldn't leave out the perfection, even though I kind of wanted to. It's disgusting and weird, but it's all about gay ladies killing folks, so watch at your own risk. Without a doubt, Sister My Sister is one of the most deeply uncomfortable films I've ever watched. It's based on a true story and involves sister love and brutal murder. And those are my top 5 killer lesbians in television and film. Tell me, which characters would you guys add to the list? Let me know in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you're not subscribed already, do me a favor and click on that subscribe button, and I'll see you next week.